You're told to stay positive, raise your vibration, be love and light always. So you chase good vibes and delete anything that feels heavy. But here's the trap. When you suppress what you call dark, it doesn't disappear. It hides and runs the show from the shadows. Forced positivity becomes spiritual performance. You perform peace while your body tightens and your energy leaks. Real growth isn't pretending you're only light. It's integrating the parts you exiled. The mind fears this shadow, but your soul doesn't. What if your inner darkness isn't a flaw to fix, but the hidden power that unlocks your gift? Before we continue, if you're ready to break free from the repeating patterns that hold you back, check out my free guide, 5 Inner Blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. The mind carries this belief that darkness equals danger. So you label anger, jealousy, control, intensity as bad, and you push them away. But inner darkness is simply the unclaimed self, the aspects you rejected. They hold power and information. When you exile those aspects, your life force splits. You start living as a half a person. So you analyze yourself, you try to solve the problem by crushing anything uncomfortable. But here's the trap. The parts you ban become blind spots. They show up as triggers, compulsions, projection. That jealousy becomes quiet resentment. That anger becomes passive aggression. That intensity becomes anxiety. You're not free, you have become restricted. But why do we exile these parts? It all comes from conditioning. Early on you learn the rules. Be nice, don't be selfish, don't be too demanding. Approval felt like survival, so you learn to perform. The acceptable version got love. The demanding, raw, inconvenient version got pushed underground. The mind called this safety. The body called it tension. And your spirit called it separation. There are 3 barriers that keep your gifts locked. First barrier, judgment. You feel anger rise and immediately think, this isn't spiritual. You judge the impulse as wrong and instantly you're at war with yourself. Here's why this hurts. When you judge a feeling, you stop being curious about it. And without curiosity, you miss what it's trying to tell you. The energy has nowhere to go, so it shows up as overthinking, shutdown, shame. Judgment whispers the old lie that you're broken. But you were never broken, you were just taught to hide parts of yourself. The second barrier, performance. You're trying to look spiritual all the time. You smile when you really want to set a boundary. You talk about forgiveness before you've even felt the hurt. Performance looks shiny, but it drains energy. You spend hours watching your tone, your words, your posture, trying to be awakened. Performance becomes a prison. You have no presence. Your intuition dulls because you're busy reading the room instead of feeling your body. Third barrier, avoidance. The mind says, stay high vibe. So you bypass grief, rage, fear. You reach for affirmations and skip the truth. You try to rationalize the pain immediately instead of feeling it. Avoidance masquerades as maturity, but it keeps you spiritually immature. The nervous system never fully processes the emotion, so the unresolved energy shows up as problems in relationships, work, and health. You think you're transcending, but you're really stuck. The truth is, each dark quality carries a gift when integrated. Anger protects what matters. Jealousy reveals desire. Control longs for safety and skill. Intensity fuels devotion. The thing most people miss is that you can accept the existence of a part without acting from it. You can say, yes, I feel this rage, without throwing dishes. You can notice jealousy without sabotaging your friend. Acceptance isn't giving yourself permission to act badly. It's making contact with what's real. And when you make contact, choice comes back. Let me show you exactly how this happens. You were praised for being easy and punished for being too demanding. Your body learned that certain emotions felt dangerous. So your mind created a spiritual story to avoid them. I'm above this. I choose love. That's low vibe. It sounds noble, but it's fear dressed as wisdom. Your body doesn't buy it. It keeps whispering through knots in the stomach, tight jaws, restless nights. Those are the parts you pushed away, asking to be seen. Here's what happens when you keep fighting your shadow. You drain vital energy. Creativity drops. Boundaries blur. You say yes when your gut says no, then resent the person who asked. Connection suffers because people sense the performance, even if they can't name it. And your spiritual gifts, sensitivity, intuition, healing, get tangled with pretense. Power without integration becomes performance. Integration turns power into presence. What if there is nothing to fix? What if your so-called darkness is simply raw material waiting for shape? When you stop pushing parts of yourself away, you stop draining your energy. The energy you used to suppress becomes available for clarity and action. The shift starts with turning toward the feeling, not away from it. You name it without flinching. You feel it in your body, heat in the chest, tightness in the jaw, a sinking belly. You breathe 3 slow breaths and let the wave crest and fall. You're not indulging it, you're meeting it. The thing most people miss is the difference between acceptance and action. Acceptance means acknowledging the feeling is there, but it doesn't mean you have to act on it. You make contact with a raw emotion, but you get to choose your response. That's how power returns. When you stop fighting the feeling, it stops fighting back. Choice reappears. Here is what happens when you stop resisting. All that energy you used to push feelings down gets freed up. That tight feeling in your shoulders, that's your power stuck. The knot in your stomach when you swallow words, that's your truth trying to come out. When you stop fighting these parts of yourself, that energy becomes available for presence, creativity, and clear action. You literally get your power back. This is where the real transformation happens. When you accept your shadow, it becomes your gift. Your anger, it stops being destructive rage and becomes sacred boundary setting. You feel the heat rise, you pause and say what needs saying without attack. That need to control everything, it becomes focused discipline. You channel your intensity toward one meaningful goal instead of scattering it everywhere. Even fear transforms. It stops being paralysis and becomes grounded presence. You feel the tremor, plant your feet, and speak your truth anyway. Here is why this actually works. When you finally let yourself feel what you've been pushing away, your nervous system can finally process what it's been holding. Repetitive patterns start to dissolve. You're not fighting yourself anymore, so your presence comes back. You get your energy back. You stop trying to be this perfect light-only version of yourself and become whole. Someone whose light actually has substance and heat. That's when your spiritual gifts stop feeling like a performance and start flowing naturally. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, remember that free download I mentioned, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. You were never broken, only incomplete. Real growth uses darkness as fuel. It's not an enemy. Walk with your shadow and your light gets weight, warmth, and truth. This is the real spiritual path, not the sanitized version that asks you to smile through everything. This is the path that honors your full humanity. When you stop fighting parts of yourself, you stop fragmenting your power. You become someone whose presence feels real because nothing is hidden.